Welcome to Inland Empire Alive, bringing you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout San Bernardino and Riverside counties. I'm David Brady, and today I'll welcome Dr. Kenneth Whitty to discuss a great event sponsored by the Lake Arrowhead Chamber of Commerce. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. Joining me now to talk about a great event coming up sponsored by the Lake Arrowhead Chamber of Commerce is Dr. Ken Whitty. Ken, welcome to the program.
Very good.
So Ken, first let's talk a little bit about the Chamber. Tell me a little bit about your association with the Chamber. How far back does it go?
The Chamber of Commerce probably goes back to the 1960s or so.
Oh my goodness.
And what Chamber of Commerces do is they bring businesses together to help promote the particular region. So we have a number of businesses that belong to the Chamber of Commerce up there, and our current campaign is this thing, I Love Lake Arrowhead. And you'll see posters, there's a radio campaign that's going on. This little QR code will lead you to I Love Lake Arrowhead, and I would really encourage if you're going to go up to Lake Arrowhead, to scan that ahead of time, because in that QR code is all the weather information, all the traffic information, all kinds of stuff that's there, where to shop, what to do, and in particular, near and dear to my heart is McKay Park. And McKay Park is talking about the water resources that are up on the mountaintop.
So is this an event that happens every year? Is this the first time?
This is the first time that the Chamber is putting on this campaign to bring people up to Lake Arrowhead. If you've not been up there recently, there are a lot of changes that have taken place. As an example, McKay Park now has has pickleball, has volleyball and basketball and a whole bunch of children's activities. But what's cool about McKay Park is twofold. One is the fact that the views from there are exceptional, in particular about the tower that's in Lake Arrowhead. The tower, its history was in the 1920s, was the tallest freestanding building in the United States. And additionally, Audrey McKay has a lot of history to San Bernardino County. Her grandson was Jeremiah McKay, who was shot by the road policeman that came over here from LA. And Audrey worked for Boise Cascade, who owned the lake at that time.
What drew you to this area? I understand you're not from here originally, but you came here.
Right. Well, that's a good question. And I've been all over the state of California. What's unique about Lake Arrowhead? Unlike most places in California, it is probably one of the friendliest places you can meet. You can introduce yourself to anybody up there in Lake Arrowhead. And as a lot of people know, there are very famous people that live up there, but we treat them as neighbors and not as somebody that is, out of the ordinary. So it's a great place just to meet people and just a lot of fun.
What, for folks who haven't been, how do you recommend it in terms of the recreation amenities, in terms of why to come up there?
So David, in terms of the recreation up there, there's a lot of history of recreation. A lot of people know about Snow Valley. It's one of the easiest accessible places to go play in the snow. That's in terms of downhill skiing. But across the street is Rim Nordic. Rim Nordic is the largest cross-country ski area in Southern California. The ski school up there is the oldest ski school in California. So a lot of things both in summer and winter to go play and do.
What did you enjoy about learning the region's history? So for someone who didn't grow up here and had to kind of delve in and find out, what fascinates you about this part of California?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, and so let me start with the story. So there's a family by the name of Juan Dominguez. Juan Dominguez owned all the land from San Pedro to LA, from Redondo to the LA River.
What time period are we talking about?
So at the time and Juan's house is just south of the 91 freeway off of Alameda. His nearest neighbors were the Bixby's, Pico Rio, Alvaro Street, and there was nothing else in downtown or in the LA basin. And his relatives maybe are people that are really important. One was Carson. The city of Carson's named after that. Another one was married to Del Amno. Another one was married to Watson, like Watson Land Company. And the other one wasn't so well known, but she owned the mineral rights for Williamton, Torrance, and Dominguez Hills. The Dominguezes basically had the first land grant in California and the first Mexican land grant in Mexico. His two sons died young, and he willed all his land to his nephew, who was Manuel Dominguez. Manuel Dominguez was good friends with a guy by the name of Huntington. Huntington, as you might know, is Huntington Library and all the good stuff. But how he made his money was owning the Pacific Electric Railroad. And why does that have importance to San Bernardino? It was the Pacific Electric Railroad that brought the water from Lake Arrowhead Springs to the City of Commerce, which we now know as Arrowhead Puritas Water. And it was Huntington that said, hey, I have the only north-south, east-west railroad in the world, and it intersected in Watts, and we'll bring this new technology out to California. And the people that showed up to those races, that was Boeing, McDonnell, Douglas, and a guy by the name of Bell, and that was Bell Helicopter. Why does that tie to Lake Arrowhead? The great-great-grandniece of Manuel Dominguez, who was the first signer of California's Constitution, lived up in Lake Arrowhead at Green Valley, next to the golf course.
Does it give you a sense of pride to know that that region has such a pivotal part in the state's history, that there are so many intersections of the development of, like you said, the LA Basin, and what we know as Southern California has its links to that area?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the other major stories up there is the Switzers. There's Switzer Park that's up there. And a lot of people drive by that, they don't realize the history of that. Switzer was the first forest ranger both for the Angeles and for San Bernardino. His house was Pine Rose Cabin, which is really a beautiful hotel to stay at. And Switzer Park is very famous because that's where the set was of the cabin of Heidi.
Is there a particular element of Lake Arrowhead that you recommend to folks? Is it the lake? Is it the scenery? Is it the air? Is there something that stands out as kind of the quintessential quality of, arriving at Lake Arrowhead?
When people come to Lake Arrowhead to the Chamber of Commerce, I ask them, what are you here for? There's all kinds of things. The off-road vehicle area that's in the north part of Lake Arrowhead, the UCLA Conference Center that's up there, just mentioned McKay Park, the Arboretum, snow. But one of the big things that's really important, you're in the National Forest. Please treat that respectfully. The animals live there, and too frequently people come and they leave all their trash there. And in fact, that's one reason why the National Forest has closed down some of their areas, just to protect it and have it regenerate itself from too many people.
Is that an important message to make, that there is always this kind of tension between access to public lands and then wanting to protect them, and the more people you let kind of tromp through them, like you say, there's trash, and so you do have to kind of let people know that there is an expectation, there's a stewardship, there's a responsibility we all have.
Absolutely. And the San Bernardino National Forest is one of the most populated forests in the world. More people live in that forest, more people that come to that forest than any other place in the United States. And so with that many people and just one person throwing trash and then somebody else, pretty soon that compounds. The other big thing, that message, is when you come to Lake Arrowhead, please, or Big Bear, or Wrightwood, please take your time and go, first of all, look to see what the conditions are before you come. Whether that is, in other words, going to I Love Lake Arrowhead, has the Weather Underground. One of the things that you have to be careful of, especially this time of year, is when does it freeze up there? And then you start having black ice. What is there to do, and what are the traffic conditions before you come? Way too many accidents, way too many people trying to speed up there. When you're leaving San Bernardino, that there is a major change of a lot of stuff. As a geologist, there's the change from the San Andreas Fault clear up to the granitics that are up there. There's a change in the vegetation. take your time, look and see what's around as you're driving up there, because you're in a awe-inspiring place. Take your time, look around, and look. I was reflecting this morning coming down. One of the other things that you take for advantage is the fact your weather is changing. So you're really driving.
Change.
Yeah, driving between clouded fog down here, driving up to all of a sudden you have sunshine above, or it's clear down here and there's sunshine up there. Why? And the weather and the winds and everything changing. So appreciate, admire the awe-inspiring nature that you're driving through.
How often does the Chamber put on special events? Is this once a quarter, once a month? Typically, what's the schedule?
Okay, generally speaking, chambers in California, they put on chamber mixers. In Lake Arrowhead, we have several events like Redlands Chamber or Redlands Community. They have the home tour. We have a home tour. We have the Brew Fest that goes on up there, and then we have the Christmas tour or the Christmas parade. That is in Ripley's, believe it or not, as the shortest parade in the world. Okay, it's only a block long. And so they had that this year, and we expect to have that probably next year too as well.
Where can people find out about information? Do you have a calendar of events that people can find?
Guess what? I love Lake Arrowhead.
All right, very easy to remember.
So it has Facebook, and I'd encourage you to go look at the YouTube videos that are there that people have filmed. Somebody has actually filmed the video all the way driving from downtown LA all the way up to Lake Arrowhead in the snow. And just lots of stuff.
What do you enjoy about interfacing with the different businesses? There's so many different businesses that a Chamber of Commerce represents, different industries, different length of time that they've been in business. What do you enjoy about that variety?
It is enjoyable to meet people just collectively and find out what their needs and desires are and why they're there and what can the Chamber help out their business with. Yeah, and what is especially working for the Chamber of Commerce is meeting people from around the world with all kinds of occupations and why they're coming up to Lake Arrowhead to find out what their background is. And what an opportunity. I could tell you, after being in a number of communities in California, the kids up there in Lake Arrowhead have the opportunity to be involved in forest projects, in research, in meeting people with everything from dietary degrees to engineering to mapping, all kinds of stuff that you would not have the opportunity to do in any other community.
Tell me again the website where people can find out.
ilovelakearrowhead.com.
And finally, what is your elevator pitch? If there's a business out there, perhaps a new business. We know that there have been a lot of new businesses started during COVID, the Great Resignation they call it, and they haven't made that decision to join the Chamber. What is your push? What is your pitch to get them to join the Chamber?
Oh, the uniqueness about chambers is the fact that they can represent your business in public entities that you don't have the time to do as a business. They also have the wherewithal to get grants and funding to do a campaign like this that goes way beyond your business, beyond the community. Lake Arrowhead, like Big Bear, like Wrightwood, they are very contingent upon tourism, which only occurs on a weekend or on holidays. Sure. And so one of the things that we are able to do is this campaign beyond that to share about what's available and what you can do. It's a safe, wonderful place with clean air and beautiful people, so come on up to Lake Arrowhead.
Finally, is there anything that people are hesitant about in joining a chamber? What are the things that maybe hold people back? Is it fees? Is it I don't have the time? It's that your business is so different from mine? What are the reasons people give for saying it's not for me?
Some of the reasons why people don't join chambers is because they're limited on money and they can't expend the other costs for that. The other piece of that is my business is being successful now. Why should I join? And that's really kind of short-sighted because the long-term plan is looking through the seasons as you're going to maintain that. So again, all those communities, they have a real big push during the holiday season, but in the downtime, in the summer when it's slow, or in springtime when the students are in school, that's what the Chamber does, is stop that gap. And again, the representation, particularly the representation, is really key.
How has that been in terms of like government policy and community support? Having, like you said, the sort of the we're stronger as a body instead of individual businesses.
And one of the things that this campaign is that the executive director Robin Bowl wrote to the grant for the county that promoted this campaign to bring people not only to Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear and everything, but bring people to the county so the economy would grow.
Dr. Ken Witte, it sounds like there are wonderful things happening in Lake Arrowhead, past, present, and future. Terrific things happening with the Chamber of Commerce. The website again,
ilovelakearrowhead.com.
Thank you so much for being on the program. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Fun.